you ever noticed how many people in 20th century America lived lives that looked almost the same? Not because they planned it together, but because the system had already laid out the path. This story follows one such life, as a reflection of many others from that era. He is born early enough that nothing around him has instructions yet. In his earliest years, the household expands and contracts with the rhythm of work. A sibling arrives. Another expense appears. The kitchen table becomes a place where numbers are spoken softly, not explained. Adults talk about hours, not plans. About rent, not futures. As he grows, the house fills with objects meant to last. A radio, furniture bought once and kept. Nothing is replaced unless it breaks. Stability is not abundance. It is continuity. The goal is not improvement, only the absence of disruption. By the time he is old enough to notice patterns, he has already absorbed them. Men leave in the morning and return at the same hour. Women manage what remains inside the day. Money is something that passes through hands briefly, on its way elsewhere. No one describes this as a system. It is simply how life is organized. In the first years of the century, his parents move when the mill moves. Not because the pay is better, but because the pay still exists there. The house they rent is close to the tracks. Ownership is not discussed. Land belongs to someone else, somewhere else. What matters is regularity, the whistle, the shift, the envelope. Money arrives on schedule and disappears just as reliably. There is no surplus to store, only timing to manage. In school, the lessons that matter most are rarely labeled as such. He learns to sit still for long stretches, to follow bells and schedules, to treat lateness as a kind of debt. Report cards reduce a year of time into a few marks. Attendance becomes its own record proof that he can be relied on, that he can be counted. The building trains him in legibility, names on rosters, numbers on forms, lines that must be filled the same way every time. When his father needs paperwork for work, the language is similar: dates, signatures, stamps. The world outside school speaks in the same grammar. By the time he finishes school, the economy has already narrowed his options. He is trained less for advancement than for attendance. Showing up matters more than standing out. The system does not ask what he might invent. It asks whether he can be counted on. His wages are modest, but predictable. Predictability, he learns, is the trait that can be converted. The factory does not make him wealthy. It teaches him where wealth is insulated. When the downturn comes, it does not announce itself. Hours shorten, then shifts. Senior men last longer, not because they are more skilled, but because replacing them would be inefficient. He stays employed long enough to notice the asymmetry. Wages stop immediately. Ownership merely pauses. Losses on paper are survivable. Missed paychecks are not. When production resumes, fewer hands are needed. Machines absorb the variability. The men who remain do not earn more. They earn continuity. With continuity comes eligibility for installment plans, for credit, for contracts that assume tomorrow will resemble today. His income alone cannot accumulate, but income made legible to lenders can be multiplied. He marries during a period when stability is treated as infrastructure. Housing expands outward in identical rows. Roads are poured. Loans become standardized. The house he buys is not special. It is one of many, designed so risk can be averaged. The mortgage converts wages into leverage. Each payment transfers a small fraction of an asset into his name. He does not feel richer. He feels fixed in place. At work, he moves indoors. The factory floor gives way to an office that services the factory. The raise is small. The change is structural. He now handles schedules, forms, and reports. He does not decide policy, but he sees what is counted and what is rounded away. Labor is tracked in totals. Costs are precise. People become variables. A pension plan appears without ceremony. Participation is automatic. A portion of his wages vanishes before he ever touches it. The money is invested elsewhere, in companies he will never visit, producing things he will never see. Ownership becomes abstract, this time tilted slightly in his direction. By middle age, he owns a house and fractional claims on many corporations. He has never negotiated a deal. The system has rewarded him for remaining continuously inside it. Those who stepped out, who moved again, worked informally, or tried to build something small and independent, accumulate differently, if at all. Not because they worked less, but because their time was not captured by compounding structures. There is one moment when the path wavers. A department is eliminated. He is reassigned. The pay holds, but the trajectory blurs. Some co-workers leave to start small businesses, repair shops, local services. On paper, the numbers look plausible. He calculates carefully. If he sold the house, paid off the loan, used the savings as capital, it could work. The bank does not discourage him. It simply recalculates. The interest rate adjusts. The margin narrows. That same week, a tuition bill arrives. It does not demand everything at once. It only asks for a signature. Fixed payments. Clear terms. The future compressed into monthly obligations. There is no fear, no revelation. Only a choice between paths of unequal resistance. He takes the one that absorbs him more fully into the system. Nothing comes of the deviation. No failure. No lesson. After that, he stops calculating alternatives. Inflation arrives later, quietly. Prices rise faster than wages. His savings account stalls, but his debts shrink in real terms. The house appreciates. The pension adjusts. The system shifts from rewarding saving to rewarding holding. He did not anticipate this. He simply happens to be positioned where the tilt benefits him. Layoffs return near the end of his career, this time with severance. He leaves earlier than planned. The pension activates. The house is nearly paid off. His income drops, but his obligations stabilize. Wealth reveals itself not as excess money, but as the absence of required movement. Around him, others age differently. Renters keep paying. Younger workers cycle through temporary jobs without benefits. Capital accelerates. Labor fragments. He remains stationary. Stationary participants are easier to model. In retirement, statements arrive quarterly. The numbers fluctuate. He does nothing. The system does not require a response. His role is now purely positional. He occupies a category that extracts value simply by persisting within the correct timelines. When he dies, the house transfers. The accounts roll over. The amount is not dramatic. It is not enough to attract attention, but it is durable. It was produced without invention, without interruption, without risk. The system has no reason to notice his departure. It has already replicated his position thousands of times. What this life shows is not success or failure, but fit. The system did not reward him for standing out, or for understanding it. It rewarded him for staying legible, staying continuous, staying inside. In that era, wealth did not accumulate through moments of brilliance, but through long alignment with incentives that favored stability over motion. Not everyone could enter that path, but once inside, the system carried much of the weight on its own.